The starship descended slowly through the swirling clouds of the alien planet Eloria. Its surface shimmered like silver, with tall towers reaching into the sky and glowing rivers that snaked across the land. The ship's engines hummed softly as it approached the capital city known as Virelia, a place famed across the galaxy for its warriors. Inside the ship, Captain Marcus Hale of Earth adjusted his uniform. He was a human, average in height and build, with brown hair and steady eyes. Unlike the aliens of this world, humans were not naturally strong or fast, but Marcus carried something that set him apart: sharp mind, careful observation, and unmatched adaptability. These traits had saved him countless times during Earth's space missions, and he hoped they would serve him well on Eloria. The landing platform opened, revealing the bustling streets of Virelia. Alien citizens moved gracefully, their bodies taller and more muscular than humans, with elongated limbs and luminous eyes. They exuded confidence and strength. Their culture was centered around combat, strategy, and honor. Every citizen learned martial skills from a young age, and every family prided itself on producing warriors. Marcus stepped onto the platform. The crowd looked at him with curiosity, some with amusement. To them, humans were small, weak, and untrained. Yet Marcus walked calmly, his posture straight, his gaze steady. At the royal palace, Princess Lyra observed the arrival from her balcony. She was the heir of Eloria, a young woman known for her intelligence, beauty, and exceptional combat skills. Her violet eyes, bright and sharp, followed the human with a mixture of interest and skepticism. "Another human?" she asked, her voice calm but curious. "I wonder if he is more than a fragile curiosity." Lyra had seen humans before during minor trade missions. They were clever sometimes, but rarely impressive in combat. Still, something about Marcus's calm confidence caught her attention. She decided to watch him closely. The humans first. Meeting with the alien officials was formal. Marcus bowed respectfully, using gestures that were appropriate but unfamiliar to the aliens. Some raised their eyebrows at his lack of grandeur, but the head counselor, an elder named Tyrell, nodded approvingly. "You have come from a distant planet," Tyrell said, his deep voice echoing in the hall. "You are far from home. And yet, you walk among us with confidence. That is unusual." Marcus smiled slightly. "Thank you, Counselor Tyrell. I come in peace, and with respect for your people." The council murmured among themselves. Humans rarely showed such composure in the presence of aliens. Most visitors from distant worlds were nervous, overwhelmed, or boastful. Marcus's calmness was a quiet signal that he had more to offer than mere words. After the formalities, Marcus was invited to observe a combat demonstration in the public arena. Lyra insisted on accompanying the delegation, claiming she wished to assess his potential. She had been trained in dozens of martial styles, each more precise and lethal than the last, and she expected nothing from a human. The arena was vast, with a polished floor that gleamed under the bright lights. Dozens of alien warriors, some twice Marcus's size, performed complex maneuvers with speed and grace. They spun, struck, and dodged with near-perfect precision. The crowd gasped and cheered at each display of skill. Marcus watched carefully. He noted the patterns, the timing, the angles of attack. Then, a challenge was announced. The council had requested that Marcus demonstrate human combat techniques. It was an unexpected opportunity, and a test. He stepped into the arena. The aliens laughed softly at the sight of his modest frame and ordinary uniform. The first opponent, a young alien warrior named Kalen, approached confidently. Kalen towered over Marcus, his muscles rippling as he prepared to strike. The fight began. Kalen lunged with a powerful punch. Marcus dodged with a simple sidestep, surprising the audience. Kalen's speed was formidable, but Marcus relied on observation and timing. He used Kalen's own momentum against him, avoiding direct confrontation, and striking only at weak points. The crowd gasped again when Marcus performed a series of precise counters. Each movement was deliberate and efficient, conserving energy while maximizing effect. He did not overpower Kalen, he could not, but he outsmarted him. Lyra's eyes widened. She had never seen a human fight like this. He moved not with brute force, but with strategy. He anticipated, adapted, and reacted in ways alien warriors did not expect. As the demonstration ended, Kalen stumbled slightly, and the referee called it a draw. Yet the whispers in the crowd spoke of the human's cleverness. Marcus's calm face betrayed nothing, but inside he noted every detail, every weakness, and every strength. Lyra remained silent, watching him intently. She had trained with the best warriors in her planet, yet she felt a spark of something unfamiliar: curiosity. This human might not be the strongest, but his mind and his instincts were remarkable. After the demonstration, Marcus was led to the palace gardens. He walked among exotic plants and glowing flowers, still observing his surroundings. Aliens moved with natural grace, and the architecture reflected both beauty and efficiency. He admired their culture while remaining cautious, knowing that survival here required not only skill but respect and understanding. Princess Lyra approached him quietly. "Human," she said, her voice calm but curious. "Your movements, they are unusual. I have trained with warriors who could crush me with one strike, yet you avoid them with ease. Tell me, what is your secret?" Marcus turned and smiled politely. "No secret, princess. Just careful observation and practice. I study my opponent, learn their patterns, and act at the right moment. Strength is important, but strategy can be stronger." Lyra tilted her head. "Interesting. Perhaps humans are not as weak as we assumed." She paused, thinking. "I would like to see more of your skill. Perhaps in a sparring session?" Marcus nodded. "I would be honored." The princess left with a thoughtful expression. She had expected a weak and fragile human, but she had found something far more intriguing, a mind capable of turning weakness into strength. She felt a rare excitement, curiosity mixed with admiration. As the sun set over the alien city, casting golden light across silver towers, Marcus sat quietly in the garden, reviewing what he had observed. Every movement of the aliens, every stance and strike was information. He made mental notes, preparing for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, Lyra returned to her chambers. She could not stop thinking about the human warrior. His calmness, intelligence, and skill fascinated her. A small smile played on her lips. For the first time, she wondered if humans, despite their fragility, could surprise her, and perhaps her entire world. The night deepened, and the stars above Aloria shone bright. Marcus and the princess were both aware, though in different ways, that this encounter was only the beginning. What started as curiosity would soon grow into something neither of them had anticipated: a test of skill, courage, and respect that might change the course of their worlds. And so, the human warrior had arrived, unassuming and underestimated, yet carrying within him the spark that could astonish an alien princess and perhaps an entire civilization. The next morning, the sun rose over the gleaming towers of Virelia, bathing the city in soft golden light. In the center of the capital, the royal training arena awaited, a massive structure of polished metal and crystal, designed for combat demonstrations and sparring matches. The sound of footsteps echoed across the vast hall as alien warriors moved through their drills, performing intricate maneuvers with deadly precision. Captain Marcus Hale stepped through the arena's gates, accompanied by a small delegation of alien officials. He paused for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the bright environment. The scale of the arena was impressive. Even the walls seemed alive, reflecting the movement of the warriors like liquid silver. Princess Lyra stood atop a raised platform, her violet eyes scanning the floor below. Today, she intended to watch Marcus more closely, curious to see how he would handle a real sparring challenge. Though humans were known for their cleverness, she had yet to witness one capable of holding their own against a trained alien warrior. Today, Lyra announced to the gathered audience of elite warriors and council members, "We will see. If the human can truly match our skill, let him spar against one of our young champions." Marcus nodded politely, feeling neither fear nor arrogance. He understood that this was not a contest of strength alone. It was a test of intelligence, timing, and adaptability. A young warrior named Reichel stepped forward. He was taller than most humans, with long, muscular limbs and glowing eyes that reflected confidence and pride. He wore the standard combat attire of Ailoria's warriors, lightweight armor designed for agility. Marcus assessed Reichel with a calm gaze. There was no intimidation in his eyes, only observation. He noticed the patterns of movement, the subtle rhythm in Reichel's stance, and the predictable arcs of his strikes. The arena fell silent as the two prepared to spar. "Begin," Lyra said, and the fight started. Reichel moved first, launching a rapid series of strikes meant to overwhelm Marcus immediately. Each attack was precise, powerful, and fluid, a testament to years of training. The audience gasped as the young warrior's movement seemed almost too fast to follow. Marcus dodged the first strike with a small sidestep. He did not try to counter immediately. Instead, he waited, analyzing the flow of Reichel's attacks. He used minimal movement, conserving his energy while carefully observing weaknesses. Reichel struck again, aiming a spinning kick that would have knocked over any human unprepared. Marcus leaned back just enough, letting the kick pass harmlessly. He felt the rhythm of the attack, the predictable weight shift of Reichel's body. Then, with a swift and deliberate motion, he tapped Reichel's side, forcing the alien off balance. The crowd gasped. No human had ever managed such a feat. The young warrior stumbled slightly but quickly regained his footing, his expression turning from surprise to determination. Lyra's eyes widened. She leaned forward, captivated. Every move Marcus made was clever, unexpected, and efficient. He was not relying on strength, which was clearly less than Reichel's, but on calculation and adaptability. The fight continued. Reichel tried different strategies, faster strikes, feint spins, but Marcus anticipated most of them, responding with quick counters. His movements were simple yet effective. Dodges, deflections, and precise taps to exploit weaknesses. He never overextended, never panicked, and never allowed Reichel to land a decisive blow. "Impressive," Lyra whispered to herself. "The human understands the flow of combat in a way most aliens do not." The sparring session drew the attention of other warriors, who began to murmur among themselves. They had always believed that humans were physically weak, but Marcus's ability to adapt, predict, and exploit openings challenged that assumption. He was smaller, yes, but in strategy and awareness, he was extraordinary. After several minutes, Reichel launched a daring leap, aiming a powerful overhead strike. Marcus shifted slightly, barely moving, and used the momentum of Reichel's body to guide him forward and down, pinning him lightly to the floor. The arena erupted in a mixture of gasps and applause. Reichel struggled, then smiled, impressed. "You are not like the others," he admitted, panting. Marcus helped him to his feet with a polite nod. "Neither are you," he said calmly. "Strength is valuable, but thinking is just as important." Lyra clapped her hands softly, clearly pleased. She rose from her platform and descended into the arena. "Well done, human," she said, her voice clear and commanding. "You have more skill than I anticipated. Perhaps I misjudged your kind." Marcus bowed slightly in respect. "Thank you, Princess. I only use what I have and what I observe. There is much I can learn from your warriors as well." Lyra's violet eyes studied him carefully. "Perhaps there is more to humans than raw power. You rely on strategy, adaptability, and focus. Those are rare traits among my people. Few could endure even half of your concentration in combat." For a moment they stood silently, acknowledging each other not just as warrior and observer, but as two individuals capable of respect and understanding. The council members nodded among themselves. Marcus had done what no human had before, earned the admiration of the princess and the attention of the city's elite warriors. It was clear that his skill went beyond mere chance. Over the following days, Marcus trained with several young warriors, under Lyra's supervision. Each session was a test not of strength but of strategy, perception, and endurance. Marcus learned quickly, absorbing new techniques and adapting them to his style. He impressed the princess repeatedly, not by brute force but by clever application of tactics and observation. Lyra found herself increasingly fascinated by him. She watched how he adjusted to each opponent, how he noted weaknesses, and how he remained calm even under pressure. The aliens had never seen a human fight like this, and Lyra realized that humans had a resilience that went beyond physical limits. One afternoon, after an intense sparring session, Marcus and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. The air was filled with the scent of alien flowers, glowing softly in the dim light. "You continue to surprise me," Lyra said thoughtfully. "Your style is unlike anything my warriors have been taught. You do not rely on strength or speed alone. You think ahead, anticipate, and adapt. It is remarkable." Marcus smiled politely. "On Earth, we often face opponents stronger than ourselves. We have to think creatively, find weaknesses, and use the environment to our advantage. Strength is important, but it is not everything." Lyra nodded, clearly impressed. "Perhaps we have underestimated humans. Perhaps there is more to your species than we imagined." As they walked, Marcus noticed the subtleties of the alien city, the structure of the towers, the patterns in the public squares, the flow of the citizens. Each observation was a piece of knowledge he could use if needed. He had learned to survive and thrive by understanding his surroundings, and he intended to continue doing so. Lyra's thoughts were equally focused. She had been raised to value strength and skill above all else. Yet here was a human who challenged her beliefs. She admired him not just for his ability to fight, but for his mind, his composure, and his courage. For the first time, she felt genuine curiosity about humans, not as fragile beings, but as clever, resourceful, and resilient creatures. That evening, the princess returned to her chambers, still reflecting on Marcus's abilities. She had trained with the finest warriors of Aloria, yet none had shown the same combination of intelligence, skill, and calm presence. She realized that admiration was growing into something deeper than professional respect, a fascination with a species she had long underestimated. Meanwhile, Marcus prepared for the next day's challenges. He had learned much about the aliens' fighting techniques, and he had observed Lyra's skills in detail. Every move, every stance, every habit was a piece of a larger puzzle. He knew that more difficult tests awaited, but he felt ready. In the quiet of the night, as stars sparkled over the silver city of Virelia, two minds, one human, one alien, were thinking of each other in ways neither had expected. Marcus, calm and focused, considered strategy and survival. Lyra, curious and impressed, pondered strength, skill, and the potential of a small, clever species that could surprise even the mightiest warriors of Aloria. The stage was set. The human had proven himself once in the arena, earning respect and attention. But this was only the beginning. Greater challenges lay ahead. Tests of courage, skill, and heart. And through it all, the bond between warrior and princess, forged in admiration and curiosity, would grow stronger, hinting at a story that could bridge worlds and redefine what it meant to be powerful. The morning sun spread across the gleaming towers of Virelia, casting long shadows across the city. The capital was alive with activity, the citizens practicing martial drills, merchants selling exotic goods, and scouts patrolling the outer streets. But beneath the city's vibrant surface, a hidden threat was stirring, a rogue faction of alien warriors plotting a coup against the royal family. Princess Lyra was in her private chamber when the council messenger arrived, his face tight with concern. "Princess," he said urgently, "we have reports of a faction gathering weapons in the northern district. They plan to strike tonight." Lyra's violet eyes narrowed. "Gather a team," she commanded. "We must protect the city and bring the human." Marcus had been observing the city, walking among its citizens and noting patterns in movement and strategy. When he was summoned, He entered the council chamber with his usual calm demeanor, bowing politely to the princess and council. "The Northern District," Marcus said, studying the maps laid before him, "has 3 main access points. If they control those, they could trap the city's defenders." Lyra nodded. "Can you help us anticipate their moves?" Marcus smiled faintly. "That is what I do best." By evening, the Northern District of Virelia was quiet, almost eerily so. The streets, usually alive with citizens and activity, were empty. Shadows stretched across the tall buildings as Marcus and Lyra, along with a squad of elite warriors, moved through the alleys. Lyra led the squad, her presence commanding respect and attention. Marcus followed closely, observing every detail, the positioning of guards, the flow of the shadows, even the faintest sounds that might indicate movement. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed from a nearby warehouse. Marcus motioned for the squad to stop. "They are setting up traps," he whispered. "Move carefully." The squad split, each moving to cover entrances. Marcus approached the warehouse silently, his senses alert. He noted the angles of them, walls, the patterns in the lighting, and the possible weak points in the enemy's defenses. A group of rogue warriors emerged, armed with advanced weapons and armor. They were skilled, but they underestimated Marcus's presence. With calm precision, he guided the squad, positioning them to avoid ambushes and maximize their advantage. The first clash was sudden. One rogue lunged at a warrior, but Marcus anticipated the move, stepping in to guide the attacker off balance. The rogue stumbled, giving the warrior a chance to disarm him. Lyra watched from a distance, impressed. Marcus did not rely on raw strength. He relied on strategy, timing, and intelligence. Each action was deliberate, calculated, and effective. The battle intensified. Marcus moved through the warehouse with quiet efficiency, guiding the squad around traps and ambushes. He used the environment to his advantage, causing crates to fall and block paths, forcing enemies into narrow corridors where their strength was less effective. At one point, a rogue warrior aimed a powerful strike directly at Lyra. Marcus reacted, instinctively, throwing himself in the way and deflecting the blow. Lyra's eyes widened with a mixture of surprise and admiration. The human had risked himself to protect her, not for reward, but because it was the right action. "Your courage is unexpected," Lyra whispered, keeping her voice steady even as the battle raged. Marcus nodded briefly. "I do not act recklessly. I act when it is necessary." The rogue faction began to falter under the coordinated efforts of Marcus and the elite squad. He predicted their movements, anticipated their tactics, and countered every attempt to gain the upper hand. The city's defenders, guided by his strategies, moved efficiently, capturing or disarming the attackers without unnecessary risk. During a tense moment, the rogue leader, a tall armored warrior with glowing eyes, charged toward Marcus. The two clashed in a brief but intense fight. The alien relied on strength and speed, striking with powerful blows, but Marcus stayed calm. He used the alien's momentum, dodging and redirecting attacks with precision. With one swift maneuver, he caused the rogue leader to stumble and fall, allowing the squad to capture him. Lyra approached Marcus as the last of the rogue faction was subdued. Her eyes shone with respect. "You were remarkable," she said. "Your strategy, your timing, your courage. I have never seen anything like it. Even our best warriors would have struggled against them." Marcus gave a modest smile. "I only did what I could. The city is safe, and that is what matters." The princess nodded, her mind racing with thoughts she had never expected to have about a human. She had always believed in the superiority of her people, trained from birth to value strength above all else. Yet here was a human, a fragile, smaller being, who had outsmarted and outmaneuvered elite warriors, protecting the city with intelligence and bravery. That night, the city celebrated quietly, thankful for the prevention of disaster. Marcus returned to the palace with Lyra, walking through the glowing gardens in silence. The streets were calm and the stars reflected softly in the crystal fountains. "Tell me," Lyra said after a while, How do you remain so calm in the face of danger? Most of my warriors would have panicked. Marcus considered her question. On Earth, we often face situations where we cannot rely on strength alone. We must think, observe, and adapt. Panic wastes energy and focus. Calmness allows you to act correctly, even in the most dangerous moments. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. Your mind is as strong as your courage. I have seen many warriors, yet few could combine both in such a way. You are unusual, human. I'm simply different, Marcus replied softly. And I have learned from observing your people as well. Your training, your discipline, your courage. They are extraordinary. They walked in silence for a moment, the soft hum of the city around them. Lyra's thoughts were filled with curiosity and admiration. She had always believed that strength defined worth, yet Marcus had shown her that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could be just as powerful. The next days were filled with training, observation, and preparation. Marcus continued to study the aliens' combat techniques, learning their strengths and weaknesses. Lyra spent time with him both as a teacher and a curious observer, fascinated by how quickly he adapted to new challenges. One afternoon, she asked, "Human, do you ever fear failure?" Marcus smiled slightly. Fear exists, yes, but it does not control me. I use it to stay alert, to think clearly, and to make the right decisions. Fear is only dangerous when it overwhelms reason. Lyra reflected on his words. She had trained her whole life to be fearless. Yet she realized that courage was not the absence of fear, it was mastery over it. The human before her had shown this in every action, every decision, every battle. A week later, the city faced another minor threat, a sudden ambush near the city gates. Marcus was ready. He had mapped the terrain, predicted likely attack points, and positioned defenders strategically. The ambushers, expecting chaos, were met with organized resistance. Marcus's presence turned a potentially deadly situation into a controlled victory, further impressing both Lyra and the citizens. By now, whispers of the human warrior spread throughout Virelia. Citizens and warriors alike began to speak of his intelligence, his courage, and his remarkable skill. Even the most skeptical aliens began to reconsider the perceived weakness of humans. Lyra, however, remained the most affected. She had watched Marcus face danger, protect others, and lead with intellect and bravery. Her respect had grown into admiration, and she could not deny a strange sense of fascination, perhaps even hope, that a species so underestimated could possess such remarkable qualities. That night, in the quiet of her chambers, Lyra looked at the stars, thinking of the human warrior. Strength alone does not define a being, she whispered. Perhaps courage, intelligence, and adaptability matter more than I realized. And perhaps humans are capable of greatness I have yet to see. Meanwhile, Marcus sat in his quarters, reviewing maps and notes, preparing for future challenges. He understood that his presence on Aloria was more than a diplomatic mission. It was an opportunity to demonstrate the value of human ingenuity and courage. The shadows of conflict were not yet gone, but one thing was certain. Marcus had proven himself as more than a visitor. He had shown that even a human could stand among the mightiest warriors of Aloria and hold his own. And Princess Lyra, once skeptical, now looked at him with new eyes filled with respect, curiosity, and anticipation for what the future might bring. As the city slept under the glittering stars, two minds, human and alien, were connected by admiration, respect, and the unspoken understanding that something extraordinary was unfolding. The challenges ahead would test their courage and skill even further, but the bond formed in the shadows of conflict would remain unbroken. And so, the human warrior continued to astonish the alien princess, proving that true strength was not measured by muscle alone, but by intelligence, courage, and an unwavering heart. The city of Virelia had regained a fragile calm after the recent attacks, but danger never truly slept. Deep within the northern districts, the rogue faction plotted again. this time more daring than before. Their plan was simple, yet bold. Capture Princess Lyra and use her as leverage to force the council into surrender. That evening, as the city's citizens celebrated the end of the latest threat, Lyra walked through the palace gardens, unaware of the danger creeping closer. She felt confident, perhaps too confident after Marcus's assistance in the previous conflicts. The streets were quiet, and the warm glow of the crystal lamps reflected on the polished pathways. Marcus noticed it first. "Princess," he said calmly, "we should increase security tonight. Something feels unusual." Lyra raised an eyebrow but dismissed it with a small smile. "You worry too much, human. The city is peaceful. There is no threat tonight." Marcus's expression remained calm, though his mind worked quickly. He had learned to trust instincts born of careful observation. The subtle shadows, the faint movements in distant alleys, and the unusual quiet all hinted at something amiss. Before the princess could respond, a sudden explosion rocked the garden. Crystal fountains shattered, and sparks flew into the air. Lyra's guards rushed to protect her, but the rogue faction had anticipated their movements. Dozens of armored warriors surrounded the princess, their weapons drawn. "Princess Lyra," the leader said with a cruel smile, "you will come with us. Your city will surrender, or you will remain our prisoner." Lyra's violet eyes flashed with determination. She raised her staff, a weapon designed for both offense and defense, and prepared to fight. But the rogue warriors were many, and even her skill might not be enough. Marcus reacted instantly. Without hesitation, he moved to intercept, analyzing the attackers' positions and movements in a fraction of a second. He could not match their strength, but he could outthink them. "Stay close, princess," he said, positioning himself between Lyra and the nearest attacker. Using a series of precise strikes and well-timed dodges, he disrupted the attacker's formation, giving Lyra a moment to regain her footing. Lyra was amazed. The human's movements were calm, calculated, and effective. He did not rely on power, which was clearly less than that of the rogues, but on strategy and anticipation. Every strike, block, and step was perfectly placed. The rogue leader growled, "Stop him. He is just a human." Marcus smiled faintly, almost amused. "Just a human," he muttered under his breath, before springing into action again. He redirected an attacker's momentum, causing him to stumble into another rogue and use the chaos to create an opening. Lyra seized the moment, moving with speed and grace to disable another attacker. Together they fought seamlessly, a combination of intellect, strategy, and skill. It was a dance of survival, each move building on the other's strength. The rogue faction tried to adapt, but Marcus had already predicted their reactions. He used the environment, walls, crates, and debris to his advantage, creating obstacles that limited the rogues' power. One by one, they were forced into positions where their strength mattered less, and Marcus's clever tactics turned their advantage into a liability. At a critical moment, the rogue leader charged directly at Marcus, wielding a long, deadly weapon. Marcus sidestepped, grabbed a nearby metal rod, and used it to parry and redirect the force of the attack. The leader stumbled, and Lyra quickly disarmed him, knocking the weapon out of his hands with precise force. "You are more than I expected. Human," Lyra admitted, her voice steady but filled with admiration. Marcus's calm eyes met hers. "I only do what is necessary to protect those who cannot defend themselves alone," he replied. The battle raged through the garden and into the nearby streets. The rogue faction was strong, but Marcus's intelligence, planning, and quick thinking allowed him to stay several steps ahead. He directed Lyra and the guards with subtle signals, positioning them to maximize effectiveness and minimize risk. One by one, the rogues were captured or forced to flee. The streets echoed with the sounds of victory as the city's defenders regained control. Marcus stood near Lyra, slightly winded but composed, his eyes scanning the area for any remaining threats. Lyra approached him, her expression a mixture of amazement and respect. I did not expect this," she said quietly. "You faced them alone, anticipated their moves, and protected me." You risked yourself without hesitation. Marcus shook his head slightly. I did what anyone should do in the same situation. Protecting life is more important than worrying about danger. Lyra's admiration grew. She had always valued strength and skill, but here was a human who combined courage, intelligence, and unwavering loyalty. He had proven himself in a way no other alien warrior had. The council quickly convened to review the events of the night. Marcus and Lyra recounted the battle, detailing the rogue faction's strategy and the tactics used to counter it. The council members listened intently, nodding in approval. You have done more than impress us, human, Terrell, the head counselor, said. You have saved the princess and helped protect the city. Your bravery and strategy are remarkable. You have our gratitude. Marcus inclined his head politely. Thank you, counselor. I only did what was necessary. Lyra stayed beside him, her violet eyes thoughtful. You are unlike any human I have known, she said softly. Your skill, courage, and intelligence surpass expectations. I am honored to have fought alongside you. Marcus's face remained calm, though inside he felt a quiet satisfaction. He had earned not only respect but trust, and the princess's admiration, though subtle, meant more than words could express. Over the following days, the city strengthened its defenses, aware that rogue factions might strike again. Marcus continued to assist, training guards and refining strategies. His presence inspired confidence among the defenders, and even the most skeptical warriors began to recognize the value of intellect combined with courage. Lyra spent time observing him, learning from his approach. She noticed how he remained calm under pressure, how he analyzed situations before acting, and how he used creativity to solve problems. These qualities fascinated her. She had always believed that strength and skill defined a warrior, but Marcus had shown her that intelligence and courage could be equally powerful. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens, Lyra spoke quietly. Human, do you ever fear for your life? Marcus looked at her calmly. Fear exists, yes, but I do not let it control me. I use it to stay alert and make better decisions. True courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite it. Lyra nodded, reflecting on his words. She had always trained to be fearless, but she realized now that courage was more than training. It was mastery over fear. Marcus had demonstrated that in every battle, every decision, and every action, the bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. Lyra admired Marcus's intellect and bravery, and he respected her skill, wisdom, and leadership. Together, they had faced danger, outwitted enemies, and protected the city. Their teamwork was seamless, and the trust between them was unbreakable. Yet, despite the victories, Marcus knew that challenges were far from over. The rogue faction had been defeated, but their ambition and cunning would not easily be extinguished. He prepared for future threats, analyzing every detail of the city, the terrain, and the potential strategies of adversaries. Lyra, too, realized that she had underestimated humans for far too long. Marcus had shown her that true strength was not measured by muscle alone, but by intelligence, courage, and an unwavering heart. As the night fell over Veralia, the city slept under the soft glow of the crystal lamps, safe for now. In the quiet of her chambers, Lyra looked at the stars and thought of the human warrior who had risked everything to protect her. He is remarkable, she whispered. Perhaps humans are capable of greatness I never imagined, and perhaps there is more to him than mere skill. There is courage, intelligence, and loyalty that cannot be measured. Marcus, in his quarters, reflected quietly as well. The city was safe, but the future was uncertain. He had proven his worth, earned respect, and gained the trust of an alien princess. Yet he knew that greater challenges awaited, and he would need every bit of intelligence, courage, and skill to face them. And so, the test of loyalty was complete. Marcus had not only saved Princess Lyra, but he had also proven that even a human could stand among the mightiest warriors of Eloria. The bond between them had grown, forged in the fires of danger and strengthened by trust, admiration, and respect. The shadows of conflict had revealed a truth. True strength was not measured by size or muscle alone, but by the courage to act, the wisdom to plan, and the heart to protect. And in the quiet of Viralia, two minds, human and alien, stood together, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. The city of Viralia sparkled under the light of twin moons, their silver glow reflecting off the polished towers and crystal fountains. The danger from the rogue faction had passed, but the memory of the attacks lingered in every citizen's mind. The city council convened an emergency assembly to honor those who had defended the city, and all eyes were on Princess Lyra and the human warrior, Marcus Hale. The grand hall of the council was filled with citizens, elite warriors, and officials. The air buzzed with anticipation. For weeks, whispers had spread about the human who had outsmarted trained alien warriors, protected the princess, and guided the defenders of the city to victory. Now, it was time for official recognition. Marcus entered quietly, his posture calm and composed. He wore a modest uniform, simple compared to the elaborate robes of the alien officials, yet it carried an air of quiet dignity. Princess Lyra watched from her place at the front, her violet eyes bright with pride and admiration. Counselor Terrell rose from his seat, his deep voice resonating through the hall. Citizens of Viralia, today we recognize an extraordinary being. Though from a distant world he has shown courage, intelligence, and skill beyond expectation. He has protected our princess, saved our city, and earned the respect of our people. We honor him, Marcus Hale of Earth. The audience erupted in applause. Marcus bowed respectfully, a humble gesture that only amplified the admiration of those watching. Lyra stepped forward, her expression serious yet filled with warmth. Marcus, she said clearly, you have proven that strength alone does not define a warrior. Your courage, intelligence, and loyalty have earned my deepest respect. You have shown us that even a small and seemingly fragile being can achieve greatness through determination and thought. We are honored to have you among us. Marcus inclined his head politely. Thank you, Princess. I only did what I could. Your people taught me much as well. I have learned from your warriors, your strategies, and your courage. It is an honor to stand here with you. The council presented him with a ceremonial medallion, symbolizing honor and recognition among the citizens of Aloria. Even the elite warriors, once skeptical of his abilities, approached him with nods of respect. Marcus accepted the gesture, with humility, earning admiration for not just his skill but also his character. As the ceremony concluded, Lyra invited Marcus to walk with her through the palace gardens. The night was calm, the soft light of the moons reflecting on the crystal pathways. Citizens still lingered in the gardens, many bowing or nodding as Marcus passed by. You have changed perceptions, Lyra said quietly, walking beside him. Many believed humans weak and fragile. Now they see what I saw from the beginning, cleverness, courage, and an unyielding spirit. You have proven that a human can stand among the mightiest of Aeloria's warriors. Marcus smiled slightly. I only showed what humans are capable of. Strength is important, yes, but thinking, adapting, and being brave when it matters. Those are the true measures of ability. Lyra's eyes reflected the soft glow of the moons. You have reminded me that we often judge too quickly. We value strength above all, yet you have shown that courage and intelligence can surpass it. I admire you, Marcus, more than I expected. Marcus looked at her with calm sincerity. And I respect you, Princess. Your skill, leadership, and wisdom are extraordinary. It has been an honor to fight alongside you and learn from you. For a moment they walked in silence, two beings from different worlds bound by respect, shared experiences, and the understanding that true greatness is not defined by size or species. Over the next days, Marcus continued to assist the city. He trained warriors in strategies, helped strengthen defenses, and worked closely with Lyra to develop tactics that combined human ingenuity with alien skill. His presence inspired confidence and courage in the citizens, who now saw the value of intelligence and adaptability as much as raw strength. Lyra spent time observing him, fascinated by his methods. She noted how he anticipated movements, used the environment to his advantage, and remained calm in even the most stressful situations. She also realized how rare it was to find someone so humble despite such remarkable abilities. One afternoon, Lyra asked him, "Marcus, what drives you to act so bravely, to risk your life for others?" Marcus paused, thinking carefully. "I believe that life is valuable," he said. "If I can protect others, why would I hesitate? Strength is not just to fight. It is to protect, to inspire, and to make the right choice even when it is difficult. That is what drives me." Lyra's gaze softened. "You make bravery seem effortless, yet I know it requires more than courage. It requires wisdom, patience, and the heart to act rightly. I am fortunate to have met you." Marcus shook his head slightly. "I am the fortunate one. To experience your world, learn from your people, and work alongside you, this is more than I could have imagined." As days passed, Marcus became more than a respected warrior. He became a symbol of unity between humans and the citizens of Hiloria. Stories of his battles, his strategies, and his courage spread across the city and beyond, inspiring young warriors and curious minds alike. Lyra, too, found herself reflecting on the lessons he had brought. She realized that leadership required more than strength. It required intelligence, understanding, and the courage to act decisively. Marcus had demonstrated all of these qualities, challenging her own assumptions and expanding her perspective on what it meant to be a true warrior. One evening, as they stood atop the palace balcony, looking out over the city, glowing under twin moons, Lyra spoke quietly. "Marcus, your presence here has changed much. You have proven the value of courage, intelligence, and resilience. You have taught us to see beyond strength, to value wisdom and bravery equally. I am grateful for all you have done." Marcus looked at her with calm respect. "I only did what I could, but it is true. I have learned much from your people as well. This city, your warriors, and you, Princess, have shown me the importance of unity, trust, and careful planning. Together we are stronger." Lyra smiled, a rare warmth in her expression. "Perhaps the future will see more humans and Elorians working together. Perhaps our worlds can learn from one another. You have shown that cooperation, courage, and respect are more powerful than strength alone." Marcus nodded. "That is my hope. That together, we can achieve more than either of us could alone." In that quiet moment, two worlds seemed to converge. The human warrior and the alien princess stood side by side, bound by shared experiences, mutual respect, and the recognition of true strength. Strength was not measured by muscle or size, but by courage, intelligence, loyalty, and the willingness to act for the greater good. The citizens of Virelia continued their lives with renewed confidence, inspired by the heroism they had witnessed. Young warriors trained harder, learning both strength and strategy. Scholars studied Marcus's tactics, fascinated by his methods and his ability to combine human ingenuity with alien techniques. For Princess Lyra, the experience left a lasting impression. She had always believed in the superiority of her people's physical abilities, but she now understood that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could surpass even the greatest physical strength. Marcus had shown her a new way to see the world, a way where respect, trust, and cleverness were as important as skill in combat. As the moons cast silver light over the city, Marcus prepared for the next steps of his mission. Earth had sent him to Eloria for diplomacy, but he had found something far greater: friendship, respect, and the opportunity to prove the potential of humanity. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes filled with admiration and thoughtfulness. "Marcus," she said softly, "you have done more than survive. You have inspired, taught, and proven that courage and intelligence are as mighty as the strongest warriors of my people. You have earned not only respect but something more: trust and friendship." Marcus looked out at the city, the people, and the towers bathed in moonlight. "Then let us continue together," he said quietly. "For the future, for the people, and for the strength of understanding between our worlds. Lyra nodded, her heart full of hope and admiration. Yes, together. And so, under the calm glow of twin moons, the human warrior and the alien princess stood side by side, united by courage, intelligence, and respect. Marcus had proven that humans, though small in stature, were capable of greatness. Lyra had learned that strength alone did not define a warrior. In the days to come, stories of the human who had amazed the alien princess would spread across the galaxy. It was a story of bravery, wisdom, and the power of the heart, a tale to inspire generations to come. For Marcus, it was not about glory or recognition. It was about proving the value of humanity, standing for what was right, and earning the trust of those he fought alongside. And for Princess Lyra, it was a lesson in humility, admiration, and the limitless potential that could emerge when strength was paired with intelligence and courage. Together, they had changed perceptions, built bridges between worlds, and demonstrated that true heroism could shine in any form, even in the heart of a human warrior. And the stars over Virelia shone brighter, as if acknowledging the beginning of a new era, one where courage, wisdom, and respect would guide the path of both human and alien alike.